I'm sitting with Simon in Romania. My name is Scott Johnston. I'm a director, I'm a workshop facilitator and creator. And I've been coming to Romania since 1993. There's a really kind of small story of how it came about. I was in a festival in Budapest called Bruhaha, and I had an argument, big argument, nearly a fight, with now a person who's a very good friend of mine, Grigori Gonsa. At the time he was the dean of the ATFE, as it was now, UNATICE. He was there with students and I was there with a couple of Scottish actors doing a play at a festival. And anyway, the fight was probably never happened, but we became friends, really, to cut a long story short. And he said, I will invite you to Romania. And in October of that year, in 1993, I came to Romania, not knowing anything about Romania, other than the so-called revolution and the news coverage, and came to a country that was grey, dark, and without a sign of the West at all, nothing. But I was surrounded by some of the most generous and interesting and kind people I'd ever met. It was extraordinary. I went to the academy, I did some workshops, and I worked with lots of different professors' teams and lots of people who are now quite well-known actors and singers. And I worked with Florin Zamfirescu's students, Jello Kolchak's students, Bibano's students, Olga Tudoraki's students, and this was in '93. And it was extraordinary. I really enjoyed it. And from that I was invited to Târgu, to a meeting of drama schools where I did workshops again with people from all over the world that they brought there at the time. And in 1995 I was invited to direct a play at the British season in Bucharest, which was British companies coming to Romania to show the kind of work they do. And at the same time, one of the projects they wanted was a play in English translated into Romanian and turned out to be directed by me, called Alienații, and I worked with great actors. Ionel Mihailescu, Dan Tudor, Ada Navrot, the wonderful, and I miss her, I'm so sad she's gone, was Oana Stefanescu, a great friend, and I'll miss her. She was one of the funniest, kindest people I've ever met. She really made me laugh. So we made this play, and from this point on I started to have a kind of love affair with Romania and its people, and ended up working in lots of different places. I was invited to Vâlcea, where I devised a piece in a week. I made a piece of theatre in 1 week. And I thought, well, that's great. It went really well. They performed it. And then I kept coming back to Vâlcea. They invited me to do workshops. And I had a holiday there even. And even after 6 years, I came back and they were still playing the same production. And with a completely different cast. It had changed somewhat. And it was lovely. Really lovely. And that was actually my very good friend, who's the director of the festival I'm at the moment with Simeon, is Liviu Căloi. He was 19 in this at the time, and it's amazing that, you know, Adriana Eramescu was in it as well, and lots of people who became actors, which was really joyful to see. Since then I've done all sorts of different projects. I did a project in Timișoara with a Scottish theatre company called Stella Coins, the National Theatre in Timișoara, and Imago Theatre from Canada, and we devised a piece in a week. I directed in Galați a play called Grave Plots, which can't be translated because it's a play on words, but they called it Minciună în Cimitir, which is kind of strange because I suppose it works, but and more recently I have did a project with Teatro de Comedy and Cumbernauld Theatre in Scotland, and we devised a piece which we performed in Scotland and in Bucharest. And I've been coming every year since the beginning, where we are now at the Babel Fast, and that's been a really interesting thing, because I'm a teacher, a professor at the Performing Arts Studio Scotland in Edinburgh, and for the past 12 years I've taken students to this festival, whatever time it's happened, and it's been an extraordinary experience for them to do workshops and bring performances from Scotland to respond to a theme that's given by the festival by Ranin and Liviu, and it's exciting for them to understand a different culture. And I think, well, I don't think, I know that being here changes their lives, because they understand that theatre can be very different, because it is different here. I find Romanian theatre much more exciting generally than British theatre, because Romanian actors start in the gut with their soul, and British actors start with their head. I think that's kind of strange. Also in Târgu-Mureș, the biggest project I did there was a long time ago, was a play called Moștenire, and I worked with actors and students from their academy and made a play there which toured Romania. It was a very successful play. But since then, for the past, I think, 14 years now, we have a project for our students to work with their students at the National Academy. We go for 12 days, and it's a kind of extraordinary experience for them to live and work with their peers, and we do that. So I suppose the most important thing to say is I keep coming back here because I like the people primarily. I love the theatre, and in a year's time, when I stop teaching at the academy, I intend to come back, and I have some invitations to direct. And I'm drawn back now, and it was, I think my colleague said yesterday, it's like, Scott, you've got a family here. And it is like that. When I got married 10 years ago, I got married in Scotland. We couldn't get married here, it was too difficult. But I had my wedding reception in my friend Claudio Trandafir's house, and I had maybe 40 of my Romanian friends and 30 of my Scottish friends. So I wanted to celebrate here. It was a good place to celebrate, and it was very hot. But that's where I am, and I hope to come back and make theatre and continue doing workshops and working with young people. It's a joy.